All right. Welcome to the coffee break. This is the episode number 100. Can you believe it's that long? And I think today is a time for celebration. And thanks everyone for joining all this time. And if someone is new, this is always very, open space, any topics, projects. And uh, I was thinking an image. I was trying to generate a AI image, but then I just got this one with champagne. But it's fine. It's 100. It's worth having some champagne instead of simple coffee. So for today will be champagne with coffee. So we know we have to celebrate a bit.
Irish
But yeah, this
coffee.
is the number 100. We're still using the Roman number, so it's episode C, which is a bit interesting. And yeah, so again, as usual, very open space, questions, topics, projects you're working on. We do have lots of things at Autodesk for this last 100 episode, right? So this whole thing started during the pandemic. I think it's still very good idea to have all of you joining. And yeah, maybe share what we've been doing I think over the last
Augusto, so when
4
did you
years.
start?
Say again?
When did you start this one? When did the number one?
Yeah, I think was July, August 2020 was right by the end of the summer in 2020.
2020, during the
Yeah.
COVID time.
Yes, was right at the peak of COVID. Yeah.
Hey, Gusto, I've got a question.
Hi, Taylor. Yes.
So I'm working on getting back into design automation after doing a bunch of desktop stuff and looking to use the .NET SDK. Something that I had found as far as in the blogs was this post about being able to just specify the object ID, even if it is not created, to use as inputs or outputs. As far as the design automation, is that still working if you just specify a location for an output without having to create an actual object? Design automation is supposed to do it for you.
So if you specify the bucket and object name, it should create that for you.
That's what I'm seeing in this article.
Anyone has any ideas here? I believe so, because you don't
in
actually have to
OSS,
create
yes,
anything.
but not for ACC, right? ACC Urban 360, you need to handle the storage and creating version right after.
Yeah, so to confirm, right, you're talking about OSS, not ACC.
Correct.
Okay. John?
Yeah, in this case, it works. I tested last year. It was working. There's no reason for not being working right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you having any troubles there?
I'm still messing around with the application in general. It doesn't seem to be working with that section. What I was doing before was creating an empty object and then just using that as the location, and then swapping that with this object ID doesn't seem to be working the way it should. So it might just be more testing on my end that needs to be done.
Yeah. So because OSS doesn't require any pre-setup of a file location, right? You can just upload the file to create that for you. So you shouldn't have to.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe even our tutorial does it that way since we modified. So,
but you do need
share the.
Yeah, sorry.
If you can share the error, if it is related to the token, maybe, or if the file, if it has any conflict, the file is already there, then it won't be able to override it. Yeah,
it will or it will not be able to.
Will not be able. You need to specify a name, a unique name that is not there yet.
Okay.
Good. Okay. So, but you do have to create the bucket, right? So the bucket needs to exist.
Right.
First.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try it. I'll make sure that it's all working on my end and contact you guys with any issues.
All right.
Yes.
Antonio, go ahead.
I also have one comment. 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting with Michael Beal to see our business, how we use the viewer and all that stuff. But one thing that we noticed that we had not noticed before is that the OPFS cache is not working on our code base. So it's really weird. We download Nadine for Chrome, the OPFS viewer, and it's empty. We wrote a mail to Michael to follow up this, but we have not received a response yet.
Antonio, my apologies if I have not responded. I definitely sent a whole lot of details on how to check for OPFS because after our Zoom call, there was a couple of updates I did send you, but I honestly haven't followed up since then. So if I have missed your follow up from that, that's my apologies. There were a couple of things that when we were testing it that were that fell short. So for example, I think you're using version 7.94 or 95. I can't remember which one it was. And the OPFS cache stuff was not switched on by default in versions 96 and 97, and you had to use a URL. In the latest version, in 98, it's now on by default, and you don't need to specify that URL parameter. It is. I did update the blog post with that information, so just to sort of capture that. So you'll see in let's have a look. You'll see in the changelog, enable OPFS by default. Thank you. I don't know who's sharing the screen, but thank you very much.
Me.
Awesome.
That's
So
the
yeah,
blog post.
so I'm just basically reiterating what's in the changelogs. So I would first check to see if you're using the latest version and test with the latest version. If you're using 95, 96, or 97, then you'll need to use that the URL parameter, use OPFS, which is in the blog post here. It's a little hard to spot somewhere in there. I think it's down the bottom.
Okay, yes, yeah.
There it is, yeah. And so you just specify that in the query parameter. If failing that, if for some reason the OPFS cache still does not exist, it's not appearing in the OPFS Explorer that we were looking at, then I'd start to question where the error is coming from. Some things that might be a problem is that it does need to be SVF2. So I would double check that the file that you've translated, if it's coming from ACC and BIM 360, it's already generating SVF2. If you're using OSS, make sure when you create the job, the post translation job, that you are posting for SVF2. Yeah, you're doing all those things. Antonio, do you want to talk for a minute? I'm speaking too much.
No problem. It's great. I thought that the parameter was on by default from 97, but now that you mentioned that it's 98, I can check and try to update the viewer. I can try with the URL parameter, but sometimes the system overrides the URL, so that won't be possible. But yeah, I can just try updating the library and see if that works. And if not, yeah, I can talk with you again.
Absolutely. And listen, again, I don't know if I thought I replied to you, but maybe maybe I missed it. I'll follow up, Antonio, and just double check that you've got everything you need. And again, let's I do apologize if for some reason that message didn't get through. I'll follow up with you.
No problem. The good thing is the system is still working as before, so nothing broke or anything. But yeah, we want to get access to those improvements, especially for bigger models.
Yeah, no problem. Cool. Thanks, Antonio.
Thanks to you.
Yeah, thanks. By the way, I have I don't know that much about for others. What is OPFS and how does it help, Michael? It's a good, interesting topic.
Oh, it's this magic thing. Just kidding. It's you love magic. It's essentially a new browser feature or browser standard that's in Safari, Firefox, and Chrome, where the FS stands for file system. And so imagine you can use the browser, and you can add files into a browser-based file system. And so instead of using a small amount of key pair values inside the IndexedDB for storage, local storage, you can now use files, and that's what the OPFS stands for. You can essentially store not just like 10 megabytes, which is what Safari was limited to. You can use whatever the file system allows you to save. So if you've got 2 gigabytes free storage on your hard drive, then the browser will be told, hey, I can use 2 gigabytes of storage space. And so the viewer now takes advantage of that, and it stores all of its 3D geometry and some of its mesh properties into the OPFS cache. And the other big advantage of OPFS cache is that it has faster bandwidth. So instead of going to a slow IndexedDB storage system, it's a little bit slow, especially for write operations. The OPFS has a really high bandwidth, and so it's quick at reading and very quick at writing. And so you'll notice the load performance improves on the second load for all the models. So if you're using SVF2, you'll notice that the cache now, when you hit refresh on the browser and load that model the second time, it loads from OPFS cache now, and it loads quite fast.
Cool.
So it's a cache.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So does it work on, I said all the browsers, mobile inclusive, right?
Yes.
Or
I'm gonna
expected.
put an asterisk on that one. The mobile devices are always tricky. But yeah, this is, it's a browser standard. It's got 90% coverage. It's very well supported. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Yeah, that's very interesting. So it's we're always doing those improvements with viewer, right? And I think that's a good point to also mention that many of those improvements are coming to SVF2. And we still have a lot of people using SVF1 in many cases, right? We've seen that on our logs. So maybe a show of hands here. Are you still using SVF1 on your projects? Have you considered moving to SVF2, or no? Anyone using SVF1? Okay, that's
Yeah,
I use a little bit. Oh, sorry.
a little bit.
A little bit because you can translate to SVF1 from Inventor directly, and it's quite fast, less expensive, and so on.
Okay. But in that case, you're not hosting with us, right? You're hosting on your own. You are translating with Inventor engine, right?
Yeah. Basically, with design automation in most of workflows, and then just store the data in Google Cloud Platform.
Okay. Yeah, so there are lots of benefits with SVF2. In that case, it's a bit hard to use because you have your own hosting system. But we have lots of benefits with SVF2, and we are including new features as we go, right? So it's always best to be with the latest.
Also using SVF2 both.
Yeah.
We're not quite ready yet to have that conversation, Augusto, but we will sometime in the new year.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so let me move. I think Jaime wants to bring up something.
Yep. So this week, finally, we were able to turn off the authentication V1. So if you are still running on V1, probably you got an error to say to contact us. I just wanted to mention that we have an allow list that we can include you into it in order to point to our proxy. The only thing is that this proxy, as of now, has a termination for next week. I'm trying to extend it toward the end of August, actually, but still no promises on this. The migration is quite simple. This is something that I think some of you that reached out kind of like figure it out after not having access to the V1 anymore. And I appreciate all of you that were able to migrate quite quickly to the V2 endpoint from now on. So if you have any questions, please just send over an email to our support system, just add a tag into saying migration from V1 to V2, and I will be happy to direct it to someone on my team or myself in order to help you out with this migration. And that's it.
Can I tell of this?
Yes.
I was just looking at three-legged authentication because I've been doing two-legged so far, and I'm starting to use wanting to use the GraphQL AEC data model, which is user context. So it means three-legged authentication. And I came across this document, Learn Three-Legged Authentication, which is still using V1. It's probably an old doc. It's not the tutorials. I can share.
Yes, please. You'll get extra points for sharing now.
Let me just see.
Yeah, extra points if it's AEC data modeled.
Yeah, that too, right?
A lot of extra points.
Yeah. So here's the link in the chat.
Oh. Yeah. Also, you know, this is one of those tutorials that I did find, and I ask, how does people get access to this link? And they're like, oh yeah, it's not connected anywhere. And I was like, okay, can you take it off? They're like, yeah, it's like, it's gonna take us some time to take it off, but nobody's gonna find it. And I was like, I don't believe that.
Google find things.
Google can find it.
Exactly. I was just like, why this?
I wanted to say, when I read through it, there was, okay, for me, I'm looking for a simplest way to do three-legged without really needing the user, if you see what I mean. Because what I want to do for now, like for my first AEC data model GraphQL, is just basically plug in a hub, a project number, and get all the Revit models, right? It's really quick. It should be really simple. But I tried looking at this tutorial. I also looked at the post from João about using Python and Flask from like a month ago or so. But since I'm not that familiar with these web frameworks, you know, such as Express or Python Flask or so on, I'll kind of takes me a time to figure out, okay, so I got the authentication from the Flask example, but I couldn't figure out how do I connect the script or whatever I wanted to do next. So that's the bit that is missing.
Okay. No, thanks for showing me this. Like, yeah, I know which link is it. Yeah, I just opened it out like, I knew it.
Yeah,
because it still has references to like Forge stuff and so on. And
is it possible to just update it to V2?
Well, yeah,
I mean,
so
that's the idea.
That's what I was gonna say. I think at this point, if people are like benefiting from using something like this, I think what it makes more sense is not to kill it, but just update it, right? To be up to date with what you guys are using. So yeah, let me take it to that task, and that way we can update it, and that way you guys can use this in the future. In the meantime, I was gonna ask you, were you able to sort this out with the authentication V2, or do you still need help with this?
I haven't figured it out yet.
Okay.
I'm hoping, you know, to kind of I'm still debating whether I should follow the hubs tutorial and then trying to figure out how I plug in the AEC endpoint, the GraphQL endpoint, basically, or using the Flask to, blog post and plugging. My thought was that Python has a very good string templates system, and I can use that as queries to, send queries with some parameters just using the Python string template system.
Jonathan,
So-
you just wanted to get a list of Revit files in a folder or a project? Is
The
that
whole
right?
project.
The whole project. Have you thought of using just the search API?
No, what's a search? I mean, I've been doing things with the data management, but that's like a folder by folder. You have to traverse the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
How would you go about this?
It's a
Doing
search
this?
API. Let me give you a quick demo because
Sure.
I am right in the middle of demoing this stuff. So this is a quick demo showing. Yeah, this is this is a quick demo just showing I'm actually using, this is a new thing called SSA tokens, but the concept is the same. I've got a three-legged access token, and with the three-legged access token, I assign a user to my my project, and I assign it permissions to, say, a set of files and folders. So in this case, I've got access to just one project and some files and folders. And inside the files and folders, a whole lot of Revit files and Navisworks and files. And there's a search API that you can use to search for, say, I just want to find a filter and I only want to find all the Revit files. And I call a get endpoint, and it returns literally just every single Revit file that I can see recursing from the top root folder all the way down all the way down the tree. So
Interesting. And which endpoint is that?
yeah, so if I click on this thing here, under data management, under API references, under folders, there is a thing called, where is it going? I'm looking for search. There it is.
Search.
Yeah, you can use this command here.
Okay, and you can give it the root folder, and then it'll search.
That's it. Yep, you specify the project ID if you want to give it the top folder, which I did in this case.
Okay.
You'll get results like this. Yep.
And that will give you results within subfolders, etc.
You got it. Yep.
Yeah.
And that filter API, you can find under the filtering tab. It's pretty powerful. You can search for a name, you can search for a file type, you can search for starts with, ends with, you can search for date and time, all sorts of fun things. So,
and this would give me, for each Revit file, it would give me also the tip, the current version, right?
Good question. I think it's the latest. Yeah, it sort of comes up with the latest version, I think. Let me double check. Processing. In any case, it gives you. It gives you. It looks like it's.
The ID, which I can.
It gives you the ID. So in worst case, you can always find specific versions. I haven't played enough around with the filtering to figure out if you can do more advanced versioning, but you've got access to a lot of attributes.
Yeah, I should look into that.
It's probably looking at the tip version, right?
Is it? Okay.
I'll suspect so, unless
actually, we can look. Let's take a look at.
Because
I don't think I've got any version 2s. That's my problem.
But the thing here is that so in that one that you have on the screen, right? So just scroll down, you should see tip anywhere. So
there's a tip.
See, version 1.
Yeah.
So that's the latest version.
Yeah, it's always risky to not operate with the tip version.
Yeah, you're right. It's tip.
No. This is. This is good. I want to do some other things with the AEC data model, but as a first exercise, I was I was thinking this would be a first, it's like just a way to get it going, not through the AC Model Explorer, through the Graphene one, but through a script or some kind of interface. But that's a good solution for another problem.
Cool. Yeah.
Thanks.
Glad I could help.
Very good. Very good. Thanks, Michael. So we are like 3 minutes left. Any other topics or questions?
Just one more question
Anton?
from my side. I have not talked with Jonathan yet, Michael, about the other thing that we mentioned the other day, the ability of the viewer to generate 2D image. Because right now we basically are using a headless browser and rastering the image. So it gets really bad quality when we try to zoom in or something like that. So I have not received any information about that also. If you have any link with documentation about this.
Yeah, I feel bad, Antonio. I thought I replied to you. Maybe it's sitting in my draft form or something weird. Yeah, I definitely replied with details on how to generate a PDF using our APIs. So there's a way to do it. Yeah, let me double check what happened and why. Look, sounds like my reply didn't make it to you somehow. But yeah, I feel that feels really weird. The LMV version with OPFS cache and also the generating vector graphics with our PDF export.
Don't worry. Maybe you just send them to Jonathan.
Maybe I send it to the other. Yeah.
I will validate with him also.
Yeah.
But,
No
yeah,
problem.
thanks.
Sorry about that.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Antonio. All right, we are almost at time. Anything else? I actually want to show you guys something that is quite interesting if you haven't seen it. Give me a moment. I'd like to share interesting things, right? So this is a new beta we have, Application Management API. So it allows you to list your IDs and secrets, your applications, list the collaborators for each application, get token usage for each application. And this one is the most important, in my opinion. Rotate client secret with zero downtime. So if you go to the Dev Portal website today, you have an application there, right? A credential. You can start a rotation process. So the rotation process, you have ID and secret. You generate a new secret, and in that time you have two secrets. You have the new and the old. So you go to your application or where you are hosting and adjust the secret, and then you come back and commit, right? At that point, you only have the new secret. So it's a rotation mechanism. So that was possible through the UI. Now it's possible through the API, meaning that you can have an automation on your system that every X months will automatically rotate your secret with this zero downtime, right? You create a new, and then you commit the new. So it's very powerful, and I forgot now, there is a recommendation to rotate a secret every X months, just to be sure that no one is able to brute force exploit it, right? So use that API to rotate your secret from time to time. You can do that through the UI, and now you can automate that as well. And have a few other things like token usage, list collaborators, list applications, so you can see what you have on your account with APS. This is still in beta, and we are looking for feedback. So if you see anything that is missing or any other feature that we should add to it, please report. And yeah, it should be there available for you. By the way, to use this, you need to create a JWKS public-private key. And we have a sample explaining how it works. So if you scroll all the way down, there is a code sample. and it shows how to generate that's a public-private key and all those things, and yeah, it should work. So please give it a try. If you have a production application that you want to rotate secret, that's the way to go. And let me share the link.
Is there going to be a part of this that will also give you access to applications on your hub as someone who's managing the hub and kind of want to list the applications and what permissions they have on a specific hub?
Yeah,
Or
so
is
you're
it
talking.
kind of something else?
Yeah, so you're talking about on ACC to list all the applications that are provisioned within my hub, right?
And which are active and which are not, and so on.
Okay, so this first beta does not include that. We can definitely explore to have that feature. So I would say, no, if you can also join the beta and provide us some feedback. So typically here on the beta portal, you can suggest a new feature, and people will just comment on top of that. That's a very good suggestion. I think we should have something like that, but it's having your feedback will help us prioritize.
Sure.
But it's not there yet. Okay, with that, we are just a bit over time, and let me share this. So as usual, thank you very much for joining. This was the episode number 100. It was very good to have all of you here. I have a very big audience today. Again, thank you for joining. The next coffee break will be August 7 in 2 weeks, same time, same link, and hope to see you all there. And again, thank you for coming. Thanks for staying this long. And I think it's a great experience to have you here, learn from you and see your projects, learn what you're doing. I always enjoy that very much. So yeah.
Awesome.
What about the screenshot, Augusto?
Oh yeah, we should do a
Screenshot. Yeah, that's a good idea. I should take one.
Yeah,
Okay, let me ask
stop
people to
sharing.
open their cameras then so I can take one. Actually, as we're recording, it should be there as well, but I'll take one here. Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. See you soon. See you in 2
Thanks, man.
weeks.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good reminder, John.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.